Hey everybody! Last time I did one of these videos, I want to say it was around the Super Bowl, I got some feedback from some of you. And you guys said that I should have guests on, that I should do interviews, and that I should do more visual aids, like puppets. Uh, I tried not to take it personally, but it kind of seemed like what you guys were saying is that you want less me. That's alright, I get it. So, I had a special opportunity to take this dog and pony show on the road, and I actually have a guest this week. It is Brian from Trap Rock Brewing Company in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. We talk about beer and football, primarily focusing on the draft. Now, I didn't get to say much about the Vikings, and you'll see why in the video, so maybe I'll touch on them a little bit after the interview. The interview went great. Brian will try to tell you that he's not an expert on football, but listen to him for 5 minutes and you'll realize that he's just being humble. He knows a ton about football and about beer. However, I did have to bring a whole new rig to interview him because I've never had a guest on or recorded on site with anything other than my phone. What that means is that while I thought the audio was good based just on the screen that I had, it turns out it was really, really hard to hear because of the acoustics in the brewery and also my setup. So I had to learn some new programs just to edit the video and get the sound cleaned up. Please don't let that detract from the awesome conversation that Brian and I had. He's really worth listening to. It's a bit longer than my normal videos because I didn't want to take anything out. Without any further ado, please enjoy this interview with Brian from Trap Rock Brewing Company. Hello everybody, and welcome to the very special draft episode. This week I am on location in St. Croix Falls' very own Trap Rock Brewing Company. Today I've got an extra special treat. I am here with one of the people who created the beer I'll be drinking today, Brian. Thank you for joining me. I thought we'd start with a little bit about the brewery. Normally I have to read it off of a label, but since I've got you with me, tell them a little bit about the history. You guys opened in January or late December?
December 22nd, 2018.
Okay, just in time for Christmas. Right. And before that, you guys were brewing beer. Was it in your garage?
Yeah, we had my personal property is over on the other side of the fairgrounds here in St. Croix Falls. We were brewing home brew batches, hobby batches, on the one barrel system that we acquired back in 2017 to get used to using the processes and just for our own consumption and consumption at special events that we not necessarily hosted, but we're invited to.
What got you that? I mean, the three of you, were all three of you in on the ground floor of that, or did you start and they came along? Or?
Back in probably the late 2010, 2012 time frame, I started thinking about, I've been a home brewer since the mid-90s. Dan and Jason have also been home brewing for 4 years. They actually had a hobby club, which had some members that they would home brew in each other's homes over the course of the years. Dan Campbell was also on track to start a brewery here in his hometown. He's from St. Croix Falls. I came up here in 2014, relocated to the area, and saw an opportunity to start a business and bring in craft beer and tapping experience to the local community. We met through some mutual friends and acquaintances and started planning the process together. Leased the building. We incorporated as a business in 2016. Leased this building in July of 2017. Started the construction and demolition of the interior of this building, and acquiring more equipment and building up recipes and just starting the business and completing what you see now is the tap room and the brew house. Okay.
Well, when I first came in, you've got the beer menu up there. There's 10 up there now, and all of them are yours, right? There's no borrowed ones.
Correct.
How do the three of you decide? I mean, do you just try some out, and if you all agree that it's a good flavor, you add it to the board, or how do you decide what ones you put into production?
Some of it has been a personal preference. We each have our own preferences of beers at times. The other aspects is from a hobby perspective, what worked in the past, what other people liked. Some of it is we see a perceived need. For example, seasonal beers. In the autumn time frame, a Marzen and Oktoberfest beer. So our plans will be to brew up a beer for that season. Same thing with an event that's coming up here in early May. The Willingham Bike Club is having a race, so we'll be working up a wheat beer with the Willingham name in conjunction with that event. So there will be various brews that we brew up for specific events, specific seasons, but mostly we will be brewing up consistent beers because like our whitetail blonde, that happens to be a middle seller, so we'll do that in the next time.
Okay. And I've tried the whitetail blonde. I see why that's popular. I love the vanilla porter and the milk stout. This week I've got the Hookset Red. I'm trying to make sure I get color there. I'm a total novice when it comes to beer. What should I expect from a Hookset Red? What gives it the color and the flavor that it has?
What gives it the color is the grains that are used during the mashing process. The darker the barley is roasted, gives it the distinct coloration. And sometimes the flavor characteristics as well as head retention characteristics, it all comes down to the type of grains, the type of barley, and how long it got roasted.
Okay.
In conjunction with the hops that are used during the boil phase of the brewing process, and which time interval that are added and the duration of it all works together to formulate various flavor profiles that you experience with the various styles of beer, styles of ale, styles of pilsners and lagers.
Okay. So with like the stout and the porter, is it really dark barley?
Yes. Some of the beers we use a chocolate pale ale. Some of them we use an actual dark roasted malt in it. Those are the specialty. The base malts, like the 2-year-old ale that we use, and the pale ales and the pale pilsner malts that we use, all work together to formulate the flavors that you feel when you take that first sip.
It's excellent. So another first. Normally, you guys know I talk about the Vikings because they're my favorite team. I don't know if you can quite make it out. Oh yeah, there you can. You can see the Packer there. Packer fan. So we'll talk about them today. It's about the draft primarily, but I thought we'd talk about some of their free agency moves. On defense, they lost Clay Matthews, Jake Ryan, Kentrell Bryce, and Chad Breland also left, but he wasn't really a big factor last year anyway. But for the first time in quite a while, the Packers were actually buying in free agency. They brought in Zadarius Smith and Adrian Amos from the Bears and Preston Smith from the Redskins. So they've added a lot on defense. On offense, they've got a lot of young up-and-coming wide receivers with interesting names. So with all those moves, what would you like to see them do with the draft?
I think that they still need some strength on the offensive line. They've had some turnover, they've had injuries, and they've had some retirements as well. And they've had through free agencies over the past 5 years, they've lost some really good players, Josh Sitton, Lane. And I see that as always being one of the Packers' offensive strengths is that good offensive line. I mean, I'm no football expert, but in my casual observation, it just seems like to me that to be one of the areas within the draft that they should be doing more of. Now that they've addressed some of the weaknesses and strengthened up the pass rush, and they've got some solid people yet on the linebacker positions. By picking up maybe one real solid person in linebacking, but that safety position to me still needs to be addressed.
Do you think that weakness that was exposed explains when I think of the secondary, the Packers defense in general, is turnover the last year. They traded Hogwarts picks away. Like I said, Jake Ryan and Clay Matthews are gone. They replaced them with both of the Smiths, who are outside linebackers, pass rushing type guys. They do have King and Jair Alexander, who had varying levels of success. Do you think that weakness is what caused them to make all these moves now with a new GM and a new head coach? And
I think so. Again, it's my opinion, but it helps. But the proof would be during preseason in those first games this season against division rivals that will expose whether or not this change has worked or what the system that was started in this last season with the new defensive coach, whether or not he can make the critical adjustments in game to minimize their weaknesses and inexperience and the lack of cohesiveness by not working together, because all these new moving parts may be great
individually.
Exactly, yeah. But working together as a unified team to act and react and know how the other teammates are going to act and react at the same time, that if I get blocked, what are you going to be able to do to kind of for? That's the kind of action reaction that we'll see how they all game planned out ahead of time. What are you going to do in this instance? What are you going to do in that? And that's a seasoned team that has gone through that and learned, well, if this happens to you or if this happens to me, what am I going to do or what are you going to do? And just know, instead of going, whoa, I guess we made a mistake.
There's a lot of learning to be done.
Absolutely.
Do you think LaFleur can come in and manage Aaron Rodgers, or do you think he's going to kind of be like LeBron James, who coaches and does his own thing?
I think Rodgers, in my opinion, it appeared as though Rodgers lost faith in McCarthy's ability to change the game plan within the game. He had a script, and I'm not saying this to knock McCarthy, because McCarthy is a very good coach.
Yeah.
He would not have gotten the team to the Super Bowl and won a Super Bowl if he hadn't been. He would not have amassed the very, very good record that he did over the course of 13 seasons.
Yeah, you don't get 13 seasons.
Exactly. But every coach is predictable, especially if you've been doing the same thing over a period of years. And I think that's when Rodgers started getting frustrated. It appears as if he was getting frustrated over the fact that they weren't changing things by losing key personnel like a Jordy Nelson, who he had this innate ability to in-game change within the play to make the kind of adjustments that may not necessarily have been scripted by the in the first place.
The way you said you lost faith in it. Once you lose that faith in your coach to change or to see what's happening, and you start to think of yourself as the person who has to do that, I don't know if there ever would have been a way to redeem that relationship with McCarthy, whereas maybe a fresh start with LaFleur is.
I think there could have been that opportunity, but it was the fan base that perception is reality in a lot of cases. And I think the fan base was just getting too fed up with the same old thing. And they pointed at the coaching staff as, well, you're not making the necessary changes, and you're not coaching up the newer players to make these kinds of adjustments, in-play type adjustments, like a Jordy Nelson.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's probably going to get busy here soon. I do want to. You guys are on Facebook,
yes,
Instagram,
yes,
and the Untapped.
Yes.
That's where people should probably go to see new events that you guys are going to be hosting. I know Trivia Night's been something you started the last couple weeks.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks we've had Thirsty Thursdays, trivia, some food, and some great beverage. And the trivia events have been very popular, and will hopefully continue to be popular because people have a great time. It's not Trivia Mafia, so it's not extreme trivia. It's a huge challenge. It's a fun, lighthearted experience for people to really.
So you're open. Thursday Thursdays are the trivia nights, but then Thursday evenings, Friday evenings, Saturday and Sunday open at noon.
Right. Thursdays 4 to 7 or 9. Actually 4 to 9. Fridays 4 to 9. Saturdays noon to 10. Sundays noon to 6.
And yeah, you've got TV, so like the sports events are usually on. If there's anything worth watching,
we try to. We're not per se a sports bar. We're a craft brewery and tapping experience, and sometimes the culture while we encourage people to come out and take in some games. Like
Otherwise, there's a table full of games over here that I can see. Just kind of a nice, friendly environment. And
yes, very family friendly, very dog friendly. People, we've got a garage door over here that once the temperatures reach a certain point, the garage door is going to be open so we get some fresh air and some sunlight in here. It's just going to be a fun, family-oriented, fun-oriented place to be.
Alrighty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Come on up and visit them, and I'll catch you guys next time. Maybe one more before the draft. We'll find out. Thank you for watching.
Cheers.
Pretty cool, right? Sorry again about the audio. That is 100% my fault. I'm going to work with this a whole lot more, try to get it ironed out. I have it so it's working really well here in the studio, but before I try to take it to anyone else and interview them, I want to make sure it runs really smoothly. I want to thank Brian and Trap Rock again for having me. And again, you can find them on Facebook, Trap Rock Brewing Company, Instagram, the Untapped app, and you can just Google them if you want to find their website, Trap Rock Brewing Company, St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. They have great beers, a cool setup, and it's really cool to see how such a young company is starting off. As far as the draft goes for the Vikings, it really boils down to finding offensive linemen. The interesting wrench in the machine is that Mike Hughes was the cornerback last year, the rookie, who tore his ACL, I believe. And Xavier Rhodes had kind of a down year. Trey Waynes is on the last year of his contract. And Holton Hill, the promising undrafted rookie they had last year, got popped for 4 games for PEDs. So all of a sudden, a position that was very, very deep for the Vikings looks like it could be kind of thin. And I forget now where I saw it, but there was a really interesting breakdown of wins and how they correlate to defensive back play in the NFL. So the Vikings could actually be looking at cornerback, which is ridiculous. But and I think a lot of other Viking fans, would agree that they should focus on the offensive line first and trust that Mike Zimmer can continue to show his skill for developing young defensive talent, and look for cornerbacks in the later rounds, if possible. All right. Thank you for watching this long episode. Thank you again to Brian. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to talk to you all soon.